All right. Okay, let's get into it. Oh, sorry, 1 minute. I think I might need to plug this laptop. All right. So how do I share screen again? Okay, so the last class, we deployed a local Llama 3 model, right? So Llama 3 model is a model created by Facebook. You can learn more about Llama 3 model by just going to Meta website. You know, you will see you can learn more about that, right? So this is their website. We use the 3 billion parameter model. But of course it was slow because it's a local system. This system is not the most powerful MacBook. I think this MacBook has about how many? I think it has about um 16 gigabyte, if I'm correct. Yeah, I think it has about 16 gigabyte of RAM and all that. So it was slow, you know. So um I encouraged us to run the 1 billion parameter for better speed, even though it means that the 1 billion parameter would not be as sophisticated as 3 billion parameters. Did anybody try it out? Did anybody try out the 1 billion parameter Olama model in the classroom? Did anybody deploy that on the local system? I hope we're not just coming to classroom and just looking at the lecture and then dusting it off. I hope that's not what's happening. Is that what's happening? Okay, how many people deployed local Llama 3B? Raise your hand, please. I would let you speak. Nobody. Wow. Ayabami. Ayabami, please talk to us. Ayabami, please, you can unmute. Were you able to deploy the Olama 3B or 1B? Which one did you deploy, and what was your experience with it?
Uh, I uh, I tried to the Olama is the wrapper, all right. But when I installed the Olama, I tried to open it. It gave there was an app icon or that came on my system. I tried to open it, but the thing couldn't come up
Was that on a Mac or a Windows?
on window on Windows.
Okay. So
So after
after installing the Olama, you will now run Olama run Llama 2B or Llama 3B or Llama 3B colon 1B. That's what you're supposed to do. The guide is
okay
here. We followed this guide. You know, if
okay
you go if you go to GitHub after installing, you download the Windows installer. After installing, you then run Olama run Llama 3.2. That's essentially what we did on the call, the last time. So
okay, I will run it on my terminal.
you will run it on your terminal, exactly, on your terminal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So once you run that, it will pull the image. It will pull the Llama 3.2 image. So if you want to run any other one, if you don't want the Llama 3.2, you want the 3.1, you essentially excuse me. Yeah, you will essentially have to, yeah, you would essentially have to run the right model, the model, the specific model you want to run. Use the image name, use the model name to in the run command. Essentially, that's all. That's all.
But I already have Llama 3.2 installed in my system because I downloaded Llama 3.2, that 3B. I downloaded it and I also installed the old Llama. But I didn't know
How
that
did you download it?
they gave me some steps to follow. I just run some command and they gave me some steps to follow through the CLI.
Are you speaking about Olama now, or who gave you that steps?
You well, we
What
the
steps did you
last
follow?
class.
Is it the Olama step, or there are a bunch of ways you can get Llama to be working on your system? There are ways you could use Hugging Face. There are ways you could use, there are different ways to get it to work, right? That's what I'm asking. What step did you follow?
The you went to a website that day, a website that it said download
The
Llama.
Olama guide, right?
Yes, lightweight. I downloaded the lightweight. Uh,
Okay,
they gave me instructions to follow.
okay. So you followed the instruction given in the last class to install the Olama, right?
Yes, I installed the Llama too. Yes.
Okay. If you have any trouble running it locally on your system, drop your questions in the chat box. People will be, and myself will be there to assist you and support you in resolving that issue. Okay. I
Okay,
mean,
sir.
what I'm trying to essentially get at is that all these classes are useless if we don't practice them, right? We need to get our hands dirty and then see how it works. What are the possibilities that exist, right? So I encourage everybody. So it's only you that tried, Abayomi. Who else? You okay, Fumi tried as well. Can you speak now? I just give you permission to speak. What did you try? Okay, can you speak?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Uh, I didn't really get to try the llama on my local system
Okay.
because I've had laptop issues for a few weeks now. So what I tried to do instead, I saw the way your system was freezing and hanging when you were trying it. So I didn't
Mhm.
bother trying on my local system because I knew the system would probably not be able to do that. So I tried to use try do something on the web instead.
Okay. You
But
could.
this time I didn't use the llama. I did it with Google Gemini, and
You,
I discovered I was getting the same error. You got to a point in class you were getting an error saying the input was expecting an input in the data field or something
oh
like that.
yes. We solved that error for me. I don't know if you recall. We solved that error. It was because we deleted a node erroneously. There was supposed to be a node in front of the agent. Don't worry. I would talk about it again today. Uh, yeah, we made a mistake of deleting the chat node. Chat node is a prerequisite for that agent, right? And we made a mistake of
Okay,
deleting the chat node, trying to connect the webbook node to it. That was the cause of that error, you know. But not a problem. We
okay,
will.
because I think even after I tried including the chat group,
Okay. All right. So we will collect use cases from everybody and try to build them. Build all those use cases out as simple applications on anything today. That's really the core, and a couple of other interesting things that we may that we'll be touching on. But yeah, so on the weight of the model, you may just try the 1B, the Llama 1B. it has 1 billion parameters. It won't be as accurate, but of course that would be also, at least you have the experience of local llama deployment. But it was good that you tried the Gemini. So Gemini is free, right? You can get an API for free.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got the API for free.
Okay. That's without you using, Google has Google Vertex. Gemini API is different from Google Vertex.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. Kenneth, would you like to tell us about what you were able to accomplish? Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't allow you to speak. Okay. I just enabled you now. My bad. Okay. Kenneth, you can speak if you would like to tell us what you accomplished with your local test.
I did the installation, but as usual, it was resource demanding. At the point
Resource
my
planning. Okay.
at the point when I was ready, got to say hello, my PC
Mhm.
was very, very hot
Okay. I see.
for test.
I see.
So I don't uninstall it. But the good thing about it is that the foundation are established. If one has a very good machine with the graphic model can be done easily.
Mhm.
The standard administrator, so it's just a matter of getting a good machine that one can run this local. But the bad thing is that even the Belgium machines that have some GPU, they're not easy to come by. They're damn expensive.
Mhm.
Something
Mhm.
about 700,000 a used laptop with a 4 gig
Yeah.
GPU.
Very hard to come by. You're right. You're very right.
The best way forward is they would have to pay for the $5 API from ChatGPT and
Yes.
different stuff on
Yes.
it.
Yes. I agree. We had to just show that as another way, for people that have very powerful systems, we essentially just show that as an option that could be explored, right? And of course, if you're pitching it at work, like, okay, let us, imagine an AI solution, a generative AI solution that can do this, that can do that. Of course, at your workplace, they'll probably have, large data sets, that large servers that could run it. So I mean, the experience is useful, just that it may be, resource demanding locally. And I think it is a good idea. Thanks for me for mentioning this Google Gemini. I think what we will do is to uh see if we could run some of these model. Okay, input pricing is free of charge. Output pricing is free of charge. Interesting. Free of charge up to 1 million token of storage per hour. Wow. Input output prices are the same for tuned models. Wow, this is war. This Google is simply going to war with OpenAI with this. So this is 1.5 flash, right? Am I reading? It's free of charge actually, isn't it? Wow, this is unbelievable. Okay. So now for prompt up to 128 token. Okay, so if your prompt is lower than 128 token, then you pay this amount. Okay. Wow, this is interesting. I don't know why I've not checked this before. $1 for 1 million token per hour, and then tuning fee is okay, the same for the model grounding with Google search. $35 for 1K grounding request. Wow. Exactly. So this is what I was saying. So for me, how were you able to get your API key without using Google Vertex? Thought you have to always use Google Vertex. You know, the Google AI, the Google AI.
I have to use the Vertex because I remember, the first time we have to use anything, we have options to pick
That is,
whichever model we want.
yes.
I just tried it out and it took me straight to the API page, the dev page. Although I think I did check online to see how to get to it. I was able to, but I didn't need to use the Vertex.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. We would work on this next week, guys. I think that's a very fantastic idea. It's free of charge. I didn't know that. I thought all of them used to charge for money. It's pretty like free of charge. This is great. This is an example of how things can improve really fast if we all practice and we all just get our hands dirty and see what we can get right. Now we have an option that is entirely free and is run on the web server that is not our local system, right? That's super powerful. Let me see. Google Gemini chat model. Wow. Okay. So this is Google Gemini chat model, and then we can set the credential, generative language. The fantastic, fantastic. Okay. So we'll do this next week. We'll try to kind of like squeeze it in our schedule. The next week is ideally the end of the cohort where we'll be playing with some more generative AIs, but we'll see. I would encourage more people to try this out, before then, definitely. That would be good. That would be super good. But then would try a couple of models and see how where we can get. All right. So the first thing I would like us to do today is to run a hold on. Okay. So the first task I would like us to solve today is we should use an AI model to summarize the content of a web page. And the AI model should take. Okay, let us build a web service. I think I mentioned this the last class, some of the use cases that we're going to be solving for, this class. So what we'll do is to build a web service that we can expose an endpoint to our customers. And from the endpoint, users will be able to supply a URL and they would be able to get a summary of what is contained in that URL. So would use a webhook service to collect the request from the user, pass it to an HTTP request to get the actual request, to get the actual content of that web page, and then we will now use LLM to generate the summary and then send the summary to the user. Let's solve for that first. But before we get into that, so I'd like to show us, for folks with powerful enough systems, you can actually run. You can actually run. 1 second. Oh, thank you. Okay, so for folks with powerful enough systems, you can actually run the UI for the model also on your local system. So you would need Docker I won't cover how to install Docker. It's outside the scope of this class, but it's very simple depending on what operating systems you use. Just Google how to install Docker on my system. Once you install Docker, you have access to this kind of user interface, right? You have access to this kind of user interface, and then you'll be able to run a command like Docker run. You'll be able to run a command like Docker run, or even come here, just come to containers, search for the containers, and then you can download the container and then run it. Or just use your terminal command prompt to, okay, if you go to Open Web UI, if you go to Open Web UI, and then you come here, can you see this is the Docker run? I didn't even include this. I didn't include this one. So this is what I ran. Let me copy this. So this is what I ran. Docker run 3000. Let me see, what port am I running it on? I'm running it on 3001. Okay, I think I had something running already on port 3000. So this is your local system. This is the Docker container that is running inside Docker, right? The ports inside Docker. So this is the port that you will use to access the running stuff on your local host. So I removed this. I removed this host part. It was not very, it wasn't crucial to running the Docker container, right? And then I did, of course, the volume. This is volume mapping. It will allow you to keep your data, all your chat history, all your, essentially your databases that you've created on the web UI will be stored in this path, right? So you can leave that. And then this is the name, essentially the name that it will show on the Docker once it starts running. Can you see Open Web UI? That's just the name, right? So what else? And then restart always. So if it runs into an issue, it should always restart. And now this is the image. This is the image of the Open Web UI that is running. So once you run this, so for me, I changed this to 3001, right? And then if you go to localhost 3000, after running that, and you go to localhost 3001, after running that and you go to localhost 3001, you will see a UI that looks like this. Exactly. Yeah. If it's your first time, it's going to ask you to essentially, what's your name? To ask you for those information, what's your name and all of those things. And now you will see all the models that you've installed on your computer. All right, so I have installed 2 models. This is 1 billion parameter model, and this is 3.2 billion parameter model. 1.2, 3.2 billion, right, of Llama. If I want to install more, so it as a matter of fact automatically discover the model, right? So once you've done Llama run, you remember what we did last week? We came here, we did Llama run, O Llama run 3.2b, right? Do you guys remember? So once you run that, what happens is that it downloads the model and runs it on your local system, right? Now, with that done, once you've done that, you don't need to do anything else. The model will be discovered by this web UI, and once you have this, you're good to go. You can start, asking your question. Someone gave us an interesting question last week. I can't recall what it was again, but let me see. Of course, you can even upload files, do a lot of interesting things, just similar to how your, ChatGPT works. But just the difference is that this is just running on your local system. Now you can ask a question: what is the cube root of 125? I don't know what other question I can ask. So this is 1 billion parameter. You should be at least be able to answer that question. without any problem. Okay, is that correct? I don't know. What is the answer correct? I was expecting 5 actually. Okay.
I think the answer is wrong.
The answer is wrong, right? Exactly. Okay, so that is what we're saying. Llama 1.1 billion is not the most accurate. Let me change it to Llama 3 billion. I was expecting 5, actually, expecting 5. So let me do a new chart. What is the Oh, I have not selected it. What is the cube root of 125? Okay, let's see. I think we did this last week, and it got it right. This is what we used in the last class, the 3 billion parameter. Okay, yeah, fantastic. So the 3 billion parameter is sophisticated enough to be able to solve most complex problems. I think Dr. Tulu was even, gave one kind of word problem, complex word problem that he was able to solve without any force, right? So this essentially gives you a UI running on your local, right? And you can do whatever you want with it. It comes with a lot of settings that you can play with, um a lot of settings you can play with and see how it impacts the outcome. So yes, 3.3 billion parameter comes with a lot of burden on your system, but it's still the most accurate. The 1 billion, you get an impression of how it works, but the accuracy is sacrificed greatly. So this is the first thing that if you have a system that can scale, that can support it. This Docker system is pretty light. It's lightweight. Yeah, let me see. What is the size? It's pretty lightweight. It's pretty lightweight. The main issue is the model itself that's running behind the scenes. So you may want to try that and see for yourself how you can interact with local models on your systems. And there are actually a lot of other interesting models. Olama, if you go to olama.com, so you can try out some of these models. Let's see. This is from NVIDIA. Yes, this is from NVIDIA. Pretty good. Just that is 4 billion. It's 4 billion. If you're already struggling with 3 billion, you know that 4 billion will be a little bit of an issue, right? So here is let me see. There's Lava. Lava is a fantastic model. We've not done OCR. OCR is a very powerful use case of LLM, right? You send an image and it sends you, the result of what's contained within the image, right? And Llama 3, of course, the 8 billion, 70 billion. So there are a lot of Code Llama. The minimum for Code Llama is 7B, so that might be beyond what you can run locally. Let me see. I think there's one from Microsoft that I'm actually looking for. Okay, Starcoder. So this guy is good in 80 plus programming language, trained on 80 plus programming language, and it has 1 billion, 3 billion, 7 billion parameter. So this is essentially for tinkerers. If you would like to kind of like just have an experience of how these models work locally, you can just experiment with any of these and see. So let's move on real quick to the use case that we want to create a workflow for. let's quickly go ahead and do that. We just don't want to use the chat interface this time. We want to make sure that we build systems like the way the current systems today run. A lot of systems today are in form of web services, right? There are web services, API calls, and all of that, right? If you want to build a UI on top of it, you can go ahead and build it. The chat interface is just an abstraction that has collapsed the UI and API together. It is useful in some certain scenarios, but it's not all the time that you want a chat interface, right? This is to your question for me. So remember what we talked about, the basic LLM. The basic LLM. Oh, let me delete this. Let me delete this and add it all over again. So if I add basic LLM, you would notice that, okay, so this is essentially what happened that day. So because I already have a trigger point, it connected to the trigger point while I mistakenly deleted this guy, the when chat received node. This is the guy that launches the UI for you to start chatting, right? Hello, hi, what's going on? Okay, I need help with this and that, right? This is the guy that does that, and it's a prerequisite for the basic LLM, right? So take from previous node automatically. This prompt, take from previous or define below, right? But this basic LLM charts, it didn't work with any other node. So if you must get it to work, your workflow must look like this, something like this. that is what I found, right? That's what I found. So this was deleted. So ideally, it shouldn't have been possible for you to delete a chat node alone. It should be such that once you delete a chat node, this goes alongside it, right? But you could delete a chat node alone, which is the source of the problem that we were facing the other time, right? So because it comes with it, when you delete one, the other one should go as well. That's the actual behavior that should be correct, right? But unfortunately, the system is free. It's good enough as it is. So it's just all these small, quirks and imbalances here and there. So let's go ahead and implement the first use case where we'll get an AI model to do the summary of a web page for us. Okay. To be sure we are collaborating and everybody's participating, let us configure this node together. Who would like to tell me what to do? You can raise your hand. Would like to what should I do? So here I need to change it to a post and then give it a specific path, AI summary. It could be anything that you want. Let's leave it as authentication none for now. Let's leave it as respond immediately for now, and then listen for webhook event. Right? So once it starts listening for webhook event, I'll copy the URL. I'll go to Postman. I'll paste it on Postman and fire. It says workflow was started. Right? Now I can see all the data that was fired over API. Can you see? These are all the data. See the let me use this view. Use this view. Okay, JSON. See? Okay. See, I sent I love watching TV. I can change that, actually it should be URL. It should be URL There's this guy's website, Paul Graham. His website is very, popular. He writes a lot about different things. So I'll just pick one article here, founder mode, right? Let me use his URL, founder mode, and come here and change this, right? Send. Okay, so the workflow. Where were we? Sorry, it canceled. So listen for event again and fire again. Workflow was started. Can you see? URL, body, URL, Paul Graham. I have access to a lot of other interesting information, right? That I could use. The header comes with some information talking about the source of that call, and then here is the body of the request that I just made. So now we want to connect it to a node that will help us read the content of the website. What node would that be? You can raise your hand if you would like to speak. Anyone? Okay. Abayomi, what node would that be? You have the permission to speak, Abayomi.
We can connect it to LLM.
Read the content of the what we have right now is the URL.
URL.
Yes. So what node can help us read the content in that URL? Well, like a blog post.
I have no idea.
Okay, no problem. Anybody wants to try? Anyone else? Okay. So the node to read the content, the best one, there are a bunch of ways you could do this, but the best one is to say request. Just type request, HTTP request. That's it. HTTP request. So we want to get the content of that website. Now, where is the website? This is the website URL. I will drag the URL, put it in the URL for the HTTP request. Can you see? Now the method is get because we want to load it. We want to load the website. Authentication none, send query params none, all of this. I'll just use the default. All right. Test app. It's taking time. Test step. Connection cannot be established. This should occur incorrect host domain of value. Program founder mode HTML. It's correct now. Oh. Is it like Paul is not letting us scrape his website? Not found. HTTP request. The connection cannot be established. This usually occurs due to incorrect host or domain value. Hold on. So what happened before? I guess, could it be my internet? So right here is the data, the content in the website in HTML form. In HTML form. This is the content. Let me copy it all. So we've just loaded the website right now. So Abayomi, you jump that step. So the step, the next step from here should now be converting it to a summary. I just want to know what the guy discussed in that place, right? Let me, so this is the HTML. This is the HTML. Okay. I want it to be formatted, so I just have to save it so that it's formatted. Okay, can you see? This is the HTML of the guy's blog post. Right? Founder mode. At a YC event last week, Branchesky gave a talk, blah, blah, blah. But again, it comes with a lot of other garbage. So in order not to waste time, I would not format this HTML. One thing I could do is to format extract the content. Let me see inside, body. Where's the body? Where's the body? Okay, this is the body. This is the body. So the body even still has some script in it. This is not the best practice of actually writing HTML code. The best practice is to make sure that your scripts are in the header tag, right? But you can see the body, right? This is the body, and you can still see some scripts in it. That's not. Oh, this is the last body, rather. Oh, this is the last body. Where's the opening of the body? Okay, this is the opening of the body, right? Okay, now you can see what else? Yeah. So point is there are a bunch of HTML related stuffs in here. The ideal thing would be for me to just extract out this text. This is the text of the blog post the guy wrote, right? But in order to save time, I wouldn't be doing that. I would just try to use the prompt from on the LLM to take care of that. Yeah. So next thing, what I would do here, what node would I use next? Anyone wants to try? Anyone? If you'd like to try, you can raise your hand. Okay, nobody wants to try. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, yeah. So the next node is essentially a node that will summarize the content. At this point, let's not get lost. We created what is happening here is that we created a web service, an API endpoint that someone can integrate to get they will supply the URL of a website, and then the service will get a content summary of that website. So we created this webhook URL. We pass the URL parameter to it. We use the URL parameter to then receive the information of the website that they want to investigate, pass it to HTTP request. HTTP request loaded it. Now it has the content ready. Now we need to create a node that can generate summary, right? That's what we need to do. So I can just write summary. If you come here, summarization chain, right? That's summarization chain. I would simply come here and say document loader. Structure. Summarize the JSON data turning into previous node. Okay. Right. Sorry, let me hide this. So this is the node that we would use to summarize it. If you were writing code, there's a lot of things I would have loved to explain, but again, we've kind of like focused on accomplishing stuff without writing code. That it's actually possible to do stuff without writing code. That's essentially the goal of this course, right? But I wouldn't go on to elaborate on things that are not necessary currently, right? So I would use the default parameter and let me see, add option, summarization method and prompt. So for the summarization method and prompt, I would say write a concise summary for the following. This is the text of what is coming, and then the concise summary is the next thing. Individual summary prompt. Find prompts to combine. So write a concise summary. So I can come here and now say write the concise summary for the following text. The text is in HTML string, which yeah, it's in HTML string. Ignore the text that looks like HTML codes and focus on the core content of the website. This thing that I just used natural English to do, I could have done it in code to essentially, extract out this specific part. Are we together? Let me be sure we are together. So I'm not just losing you guys. I hope I'm not losing you guys. This whole piece, why is my Visual Studio Code not coming up again? This whole piece, I could have actually written actual codes to extract the content of the website, but I decided not to do that. I left that to the LLM to use the LLM to figure it out. Zero shots, right? Isn't that better? So I'll copy this and use it for here as well. Concise summary. So data to summarize. Okay, I think this is good. So next thing would be to connect it to a model that will do the summarization. Let's use Olama. I will use the two models. I wish we've done the Google Gemini. We'll try that next week. We'll try that next week, I see. So let's use the Llama 3.21b, 1 billion parameter. Let's use that because it's lighter. It is of course not the most accurate, but at least it is lighter, right? And we can, get something going in the shortest possible time. So, right, let me run this. So you can run this, and then you see, once you see this process, it's actually running. I just click the arrow button, right? I can open it by double clicking to see what it's actually doing. And let's wait for the output. It's gonna take some time. Again, this is running locally, right? The Olama is running locally, you remember, right? So let's see what it comes up with. Is anybody lost? Or is it making sense? Okay, yes, it is making sense. Okay, so this is taking some time. And I can hear the blades of the fan of my PC coming up, trying to step up to the task. Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Okay, so it's trying to get us the results. Okay. It's taking some serious amount of time. I think I will just use OpenAI so that I can move forward from here. Okay, based on what I'm saying, I think it should be running up. I'm saying the terminal here. I hope it doesn't error out after wasting all this minutes.
Hi guys, while we wait, if you have any questions, please use an opportunity. You could put up your hand or send them in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Okay, so it's taking forever for Olama to run. Of course, I think this is Olama 1B, the inaccurate one. I don't expect it to take this long. I don't expect it to take this long at all. It's the one that is inaccurate. I just expect it to just give me a response, and it's taking forever to also calculate its response.
Is your laptop heating up?
Oh, obviously, there's no way you would run the model and it will not hit up. That's a normal response. Okay, so maybe we should yes, please. You can share your questions. Steven, do you have a question? One is raising their hand. Yeah, Steven, please go ahead with your question. Okay, so here is the final text. It took forever, but it finally did. Okay, so let me put a response node. First of all, I could just copy out the response so that we can expect the response before we add in the next chain. This guy's not responding again. Okay. Yeah. So let me see. Table. So of course it's Llama 1 billion to do its own. However, I can provide an overview of the core content of the website on the provided HTML string. The website appears to be discussing the management challenges faced by entrepreneurs, particularly in terms of leadership and organization. It highlights the disconnect between investment advice and practical guidance for running a company effectively. It tried. This is 1 billion, for God's sake. You have to just give it to it. You have to give it to it. It really did well. It did well. So from here, what you want to do is to now connect it to a node that will respond to the final user. You can do whatever you want, in the case where it could be a case where you insert it into a DB or do some other workflow. There are, nodes in anything that allows you to do that, but it's essentially we're just, creating a simple use case here. So what I'll just do here is to say this. This is the response body. This is the response body. Let's just respond with that, and boom. So from here, you should have the response on your postman. So this is the response that goes to your postman. So essentially, you sent in a link, a URL. It goes through the first node of extracting the content of the URL, the second node of summarizing the content that was extracted, and then the last node of sending it back to the user. Right, that's essentially what we've done here. So with this simple workflow, there's a whole lot you could do, without writing code. Again, without writing code. So imagine we instead of using Olama model here, we used OpenAI model. Of course, you would expect a faster response. You would expect a faster response, or we use Gemini, which we definitely would explore in the next class. Any question? Okay, you couldn't unmute yourself. Steven, no, I did not give you access. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. My bad. That was my bad. You can speak now. Steven? Hello, Steven.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Steven. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Good evening, Ross. But my question is, actually, I've been coming in and out of class. I've not been very stable with this particular cohort. So my question is, this entire workflow, I from your URL, I could tell that it is locally, it is local, yeah, it is operating in your local system.
It is.
How does this? Yes, how does this take away frameworks like LangChain and the likes?
Yes. So we could have used LangChain, the Crew AI, all these fantastic methods, but we decided not to because we don't want to write code.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So this is an alternative. This is a no code. As a matter of fact, this LangChain that is running behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
That's a fantastic.
So if I want to, yeah, it's nice. If I want to install it, how do you generate? Okay, I believe we're going to do it. Do we generate a complete application from this entire system as I'm looking at it right now from your screen?
You
Do we
generate
turn it into an application? Yeah.
like the UI of an application too and all of that?
Yes. For example, with LangChain, I don't know if I don't know. With LangChain, okay. With LangChain, you could combine it with, can I generate something I can use in the back end to bring out result from this system I'm looking at right now? I'm seeing the system for the first time. I don't know if I'm taking the class back. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So LangChain is a full code way of implementing RAG or implementing LLM generation, right? So we decided from the onset of this class, of this cohort, we decided to use no-code tools to build AI systems, including classical AI, traditional classical AI, and even the generative AI, right? So this N8N, this tool you're looking at is N8N. It's called N8N. To install it, all you just have to do is to Google N8N npm. Right, so you will see the N8N tool, right, and then you can install N8N by just running npx N8N. Of course, you have Node running on your system. You must have Node running on your system, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Another option is to use Docker to install N8N, right? Of course, which means you must have the car running or installed on your system. So either of these two options, once you've done it, you would have access to a local instance of anything that allows you to build workflows.
Okay.
Now, the workflow involves you can, depending on the kind of workflow you want to do, you can add triggers. These are triggers on app events. For example, if you want to trigger something when something happens in Gmail or Asana or whatever, click on. Let me see. Gmail is of course a very popular one. So, for example, on message received, you want to let action happen on message received. You essentially drag the node for Gmail, drag it over so that, for example, you want to do an AI system that analyzes the message of a, let's say this on message received is configured for an email for customer support. Let's assume that scenario, right? So you want an LLM to receive that message, analyze the message, and write a response back to the message. This is with this anything, you'll be able to do that entire workflow without writing code.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Thank you, Ross. Thank you so much.
No problem. So in this example, we didn't use any complicated trigger. The trigger we use here is webhook, where we trigger it via a Postman software. This use case would be applicable for when you have front-end engineers integrating to your system, right? But of course, it doesn't have to be webhook. As you can see, I have many triggers here. I have a whole lot of triggers from form submission. You want to produce form. Maybe this is the part you're talking about, where the system builds the UI for you, and then you dictate the form parameters that you want. And then once the form is submitted, you want to trigger a particular workflow. Send an email to this person, send a text message, call this service, call that service, do this, do that, use LLM to fetch, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You would be able to achieve that. Also on webhook call, this is what we're using. On schedule is another trigger point where you can say every midnight of every day you should run, or every 5 p.m. every Saturday you should run, right? This is the on-app event that is infinitely extensible in terms of all the apps that is on anything. These are all the apps on anything. So if something happens within the app and you want to trigger an event, you would be able to do that. So
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Any more questions? Okay. Video from the previous classes are available in the classroom. Do you have access to the classroom, Kenneth? You are in the classroom. If you're in the Google Classroom, you would have access to all the videos from the previous classes. All right. So essentially, what we've done here is to build an entire workflow from A to Z without writing code. And what happens, we send a URL to the service. The URL is loaded by this guy to extract the content of the URL. This guy summarizes it, and then this guy responds back, right? So imagine it is something else is triggering it. It is, if I put a chart here, if it is a chat UI, so I say I now send the URL through chat, the same workflow is what will happen, right? So we're essentially just abstracting ourselves into use cases. You can mix and match differently in different possibilities in different ways to accomplish whatever it is that you want. Let me just save this summarization workflow class 4. So let me save this. Any more questions? All right, so I would quickly like to demonstrate another use case here before the end of the class. This it's important for us to understand what is really going on. The thing that's happening here, right, is just this prompt. It's as though I carry this prompt, I copy it, I go to ChatGPT and I copy the URL text and I go to ChatGPT and then this is what I get essentially, right? Or I use Gemini, right? So this is the layer that uh, LangChain is solving, for us. But there is a key concept of LangChain. Steven started the whole LangChain thingy, but now that it's been discussed, LangChain is essentially a framework for interacting with LLM, right? That's all that is happening behind the scene, right? What we call a chain. A chain is a layer within LangChain that is responsible for a critical task. So I can even do multiple chain, right? So remember our first class where we did classification. We gave it a text, classify where this text belongs to, what department should it be routed to, what sub department is the request related to, right? We can chain multiple chains, create multiple chains to accomplish any outcome that we want, right? You are at liberty, to do that. You have nothing stops you from doing that essentially, right? So now we have a summarization chain. If your use case requires it, you could add multiple chains to it. But now, instead of having, by the time you have so many chains connected together, say you have 10 chains, 20 chains, it becomes a lot more complex to manage. And that is when you now have a concept called agents, right? Let me go to LangChain agents. Let's look at your definition. The core idea of agent is to use language model to choose a sequence of action to take. In chains, a sequence of action is hard-coded in code. In agents, a language model is used as the reasoning engine to determine which action to take and in which order. Can you see the difference between what a chain is and what an agent is? Is it clear? I would like to refer to this definition, when I'm trying to explain chains and agent. The core idea of agent is to use language model to choose a sequence of action to take. In chains, a sequence of action is hard-coded in code. In agents, a language model is used as a reasoning engine to determine which actions to take and in which order. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? So now,
Yes, it does.
yeah. So right here, we are choosing summarization chain. Now we are whatever. Now let's do an example that involves an agent, to drive home the point. So I'll create a new workflow. I will use let me use charts. So let me use charts here on charts received. Is that the trigger that I want? Charts. Yeah, that's it. Charts. Now, instead of having to create bunch of chains, defining prompts inside each of the chains, I can simply just come here and then use agents. Don't get lost yet. So there are a bunch of agents. We have tools agent. This is what we'll be using today. We have a OpenAI functions agent. Sorry, give me a minute, please, guys. Just give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. Apologies, I had to quickly attend to something real quick. Okay, so where were we? So we were trying to create, we've already established the difference between chains and agents. Chains are simpler uh, ways of prompting an LLM, a language model, right? So it is essentially one input, one output. There's no, magic going on. You prompt it. The first generative AI class with language model, we prompted it as a classification model. So the prompt is essentially is what decides the programming of the LLM. How you program LLM is with a prompt, right? So tell it what to do to try to accomplish that for you in zero short way. But an agent, you can consider an agent to be a bunch of chains that can be regarded to as tools, right? So now you can have an agent that has the ability to access the internet, has the ability to, load pages on Wikipedia, it has the ability to use calculator, has the ability to do a whole lot of things, right? So instead of you having to chain, stuff in a complex way, you don't have to do that. You instead create an agent that organizes what tool to use, essentially chain to invoke, if that makes sense, right? So that's the idea of an agent. So there is a full code way of doing that, here. You can, if you're interested in, writing the codes, that's fine, but we will do that without writing the code. So I'll still use Olama model, even though it's really torturing the system right here. Olama, because it's the only model that most people can use locally, at least till we are able to show the till we're able to show the other option on Gemini. So for the memory part, just select the easiest one, the window buffer memory, use the default option. The memory essentially is what lets the agent remember what just recently happened, the recent conversation, the recent exchange, so that it can know how to, take on the conversation from there, right? Now, the most important part, the tools. Instead of having to create chains one after the other, you then have a tool chain that you can essentially add anything to it. So when you talk to it, say, you know what, check my calendar if I have any slots for 5 p.m. Essentially, what you'd have to do is to add the calendar tool to it. To be able to solve that particular problem, you'd essentially need a calendar tool, right? If you would need to, be able to answer a question, okay, send an email to Steven. Send an email to Steven and get him to do this or do that, let this be the content of the stuff, right? So you will need a Gmail tool. These are tools. These are different from nodes. If you come here, you see tools. Can you see? Different from nodes. So you don't get confused with the different archetypes that exist in N8N. There are nodes, there are triggers, and there are tools. Nodes are normal, like this is a node, for example. This AI agent is a node that uses tools, right? So that's the idea. So these tools they are to be used by AI agents alone. Tools are supposed to be used by AI agents alone. So in this example, I will just create the simplest possible, tool that doesn't require a lot of configuration. A tool that doesn't require a lot of configuration. That's Wikipedia, and then I will add calculator. It doesn't, you can see there's no parameter needed. So for this Gmail, I would have to set up a whole lot of stuff, which I don't think, it's going to be, we wouldn't be able to do that there. You can experiment with that and then share your results. You can experiment with that and share your results. So I'll delete that, but it's just to kind of like help you understand the concept of tools and what you can do with them, right? So now imagine you expose this as an API endpoint. Currently, we are using it as a chat message. We are using it as a chat message right now, but it could be any trigger at all, whatever trigger that you want at all, right? So now if I send a message to say, what is the, okay, so to run it, you essentially do this. Node test, okay, chat. Okay, so what can I ask that I'm sure it is going to go to Wikipedia? What is the founding story of Nigeria? Okay. There is an error. Where is the error? What is the founding story? I think our LLM is okay. So okay, so let me do this again. I think it's pointing to the fact that we have an error. What is the founding story of Nigeria? Okay. You know what? Let me just change the LLM to OpenAI. I think this guy has tried. It has probably died. The LLM has probably died. So let me just change it to OpenAI. OpenAI. I think I have one more credential already. Okay, I do. Let me just leave it as 3.5 turbo. Yeah. So okay, it's the LLM. The guy is dead. So it's trying to answer our question right now. If you look at how the agent answered the question, the agent came here, he checked the window buffer memory, and then saw that okay, there's no sufficient context, and then went to went to the chat model. This is what he sent to the chat model. You are an helpful assistant. Human asks, what is the founding story of Kenya? And then he came here, he decided that, okay, this is a query for Wikipedia based on the tool that is connected. Can you see? Now sent this query, founding story of Kenya. Remember, me, I wrote, what is the founding story of Kenya? But in terms of when it's sending it to Wikipedia, it restructured it, founding story of Kenya. It sent it to Wikipedia, and then it came back, the founding story of Kenya came here, and then added it to the buffer memory, and then I'm able to read it like this. The founding story of Kenya dates back to the early settlement by various groups of people, Kenya, blah, 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 blah. If you care to read it, you can go ahead. But this is just to kind of like explain the concept of agents. Right? I didn't tell it to use Wikipedia, or I didn't state it anywhere to all I did was to connect tools, define an agent, and map and just connect the whole nodes together. right? So now if I ask a question that is mathematical, let me see, give me a math problem. I just need a math problem that I can send to it, and let's see if it will get it. I need a, okay, what is this? Okay. This is good. So I'll just put it here and send it. If everything goes right, can you see? The agent came here. It went into the buffer memory. Of course, there's nothing like that in the buffer memory. It went to the model, and then where is the, yeah, it went to the model. There's really nothing happening at the model level, right? But with the agents realized that, okay, what I need to use to solve this problem is calculator, right? And then what I sent was what number is equivalent to this, and what is sent to the calculator is 3 blah 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 blah. It sent to the calculator, and then it came back to say the answer is 9. See, this is very interesting, right? The output is 9. It's just a response 9, and then the guy knows that, okay, it essentially I didn't have to write all of this. I didn't have to state it. I didn't have to kind of like hard code it, or kind of, or specify, right? And that is the beauty of an agent. It's vast. You don't have to state everything, so it is not powerful enough to be, AGI. There's this AGI concept that an agent that is able to essentially function at the level of human, but it can reason that you don't have to spell everything out. In traditional programming, you have to spell everything out. If you've programmed before, written JavaScript, Python, or whatever code before, that if you have a slightest error, the ID will scream at you, error, bug, you know. But now you have an agent that can fill in the gap, understand intent, and you don't have to. Okay, Steven is here. Steven understands some of the intricacies of how complicated to do some of the NLP related tasks for, let's say, customer service, right? Back in the days, to do solve this kind of problem, you register intent, you do this, you do that, very all the complex stuff. But now with an agent in the mix, with all the tools given to the agent, it will decide, okay, based on this question or request from this user, what tool do I have to solve this problem? And then it uses the best tool to solve it, essentially navigating things the proper way, and gives you the answer. So now, if I add more tools here, right? If I add more tools here, you would simply see the system, okay, this is the question from the user. What is the best tool? Imagine I add tool for, calendar, and I'm looking, okay, am I free by 5 p.m. tomorrow? 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then the agent essentially calls the calendar, confirms that, and then, that's it. That's it. That's it. Anjorin, you have a question? You've just been unable to talk. You can go ahead. Hello, Mr. Anjorin, are you there? Okay, I think it's probably unable to unmute.
Sorry, I had a comment before, but yes, how do you call it? Events have overtaken it now. So you can go on. Thank you, sir.
Did I answer the question or you forgotten? Because I didn't see your hand.
No, no, no. I guess you've answered it. When
Okay.
you were when you prompted that it should give you found information about Nigeria, I was wondering if, but then I think the system adjusted it to Kenya or something like that. So
Oh yeah, so I was using Olama chat model. Our Olama has died. Olama is running on my local, so he's not responding again. Of course, I could
oh,
totally do that. What's the founding story? See the Kenya one? Let me see. What's the founding
yes,
story of Nigeria? So if I put that here, I should
you know,
see.
it didn't find. Okay.
We should see it. Go to Wikipedia. Can you see where AI agent, the chat model? Now it went to Wikipedia, founding story of Nigeria, and then the OpenAI reformatted it again, reformatted the response, and then put it back in the save the context of the memory, and they see the response. Nigeria, officially known as Federal Republic of Nigeria, has a rich history that traces back to colonial times. The modern state of Nigeria originated with British colonization in the 19th century. The country became a former independent federal, blah, 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 blah. See? Yeah. So that's it. So it called Wikipedia because Wikipedia is part of the tools that we have, right? So there are a lot of other tools that you can use, this tool to make a web request over the internet. You can even do a tool that we call a code written in JavaScript or Python. You can do a tool that will invoke any of these apps, Gmail, Google, Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Sheets. These are all tools, right? So for example, the Google Sheets tool, you give it the access to the right sheet, and then you can ask questions or ask it to do things on the Google Sheets just by chatting here, or by depending on whatever trigger point you use for it, right? You'll be able to interact with your agent based on all the tools that it has. The tools are the capabilities, and the skills are the abilities of the agent, if I may. I hope it makes sense.
It's clear, sir.
Alrighty. Any more questions? Steven?
Okay. This can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, please.
This N8N, this N8N system is I really like the structure and it makes things so easy and straightforward. Well, meanwhile, is it the workflow we have there? Is it deployable? Can it be deployed into production as it is?
Oh,
As in more like, can you build a system, or
it's not toy.
it's just for workflow, just for design? Is that
It's
it?
not toy, Steven. It's not toy. This is a production-ready system. If you deploy your N8N on production and you want to deploy your workflow, let's see. This is the previous work we did. All you just have to do is to say active. You can now make calls to your production webhook URL. This execution will not show up immediately in the editor, but you can see them in the execution list. So you can even see the execution list. So once I do this, you can call the URL, the endpoint available on your webhook, right? Of course, if you deploy it on production,
Wow.
you have a URL right here, right? Are you getting me? So you have like steven.com/workflow whatever, that webhook URL is. For the chart, what you have to do is where is it again? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Charts. There's a you can generate code once. There's a way you can deploy that as well. Where is it? Okay. Add chat to external application. So you want to add this chat to maybe your website or to your own mobile app. So you essentially just copy this code. You essentially just copy this code and you're good to go
Makes sense.
on your production environment. So if you
Makes sense. Makes sense.
that's for view, so you of course you install npm n10/chat and then add this code. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
makes sense.
that is how it works.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any more questions? Okay. I think that is we can draw the curtain from here. I understand that it is pretty late for people with the WAT, the Watts time zone. Once again, apologies for the whole delay. The whole time zone thing just happened. And during the last class, we would touch on other generative AI, of course, also with no code, and then see, sample use cases that we can implement. Now, you should have an idea of what to do. During the first class, we had almost 100 people in the classroom. Now the maximum that was in the classroom today was about 16, right? We could see that, people stopped joining. And I don't think a lot of people are catching up with the recorded session. They say they will, but I don't think they do. But you know that you have actual stuff that you can do with these systems. If you deploy anything on an environment, you can actually create actual stuff. If you're a lawyer, you can create workflows. When your clients call you or when your clients send an email to you, you want to do some certain things, you can do that, right? If you are, a customer support person or you are someone that is looking to, turbocharge your creativity, you can actually create all these things with workflows within N10, adding the LLM element to essentially make sure that you can, achieve the impossible within the mix, right? So I hope we've kind of like delivered. I hope we've delivered on the goal of helping everyone that participates in Cohort 2 to be able to, get their hands dirty in terms of deploying production ready systems with with artificial intelligence. Stephen, you have another question? Stephen? I can see your hand. Is that a mistake? Okay, I think it's a mistake, Stephen. If you okay. All right, I'm just seeing the chat. Sorry, guys. Yeah, maybe you should question why would I couldn't unmute myself. Okay, Stephen, please. How can I find the videos from the previous class? Okay, I think I've answered that. Yes, I do. All right. Anything is awesome. Yes, it is. It is. So with anything and nine, you can achieve almost anything. So the process flow is write down what you want to accomplish, what you want to automate. Write it down on your with pen and paper first, because if you go to anything without doing that, you will get lost. You will lose yourself in it, right? Because there's a whole lot of things there are million and one possibilities with anything, right? So if you don't have your mind already set on what you want to accomplish with N10, you will get into N10 and just be scrambling around and playing around. So write down the workflow. Okay, I want to automatically receive any email that has, so you can say that I will automatically respond to email that has this keyword. With that, you wouldn't be able to do it traditionally with traditional programming method, right? It would be complicated to solve with traditional programming method. But now with LLM, just throw LLM in the mix, the prompt will be, is this email regarding this subject, regarding this matter, regarding this topic? If yes, then do something else. If no, do something else. So that's the power of putting LLM in the midst of workflow, right? Or if the email is about a calendar event, send me a text on my phone. Or all those things are possible now with what you've learned, right? You just need to do the necessary configuration for the tools you're using, for the apps you're using. There's Twilio here. Twilio can help you make calls. Twilio can help you send text message. Twilio can, there's essentially infinite possibilities, in front of you with N8N. So if you're struggling with installing it locally, you can use the web version at first, and then later, when you're ready to perhaps scale it up or go live, you can install it locally or on your web server or at work or somewhere where you can where you can really scale it up. So that is all for today's class. So today's class, we were able to touch on how to run local models from the UI. We were able to initially do it from the last class only from the terminal. It was not the most user-friendly thing. It's not the most friendly thing, right? So now we showed you how to run it from the terminal by using Docker container. With Docker container, you essentially run the Docker run. I showed the URL to the what you'd have to run on your terminal. Once you run that, you would have a local environment to run the models on the UI, right? Also, we went through creating a web service that can summarize the content of a web page. So we will send a web page. We send a web page through Postman, and then it runs through the flow and then summarizes the content of that web page and responds to us. That was the first thing that we did. And then the second one was to work with agents, where we, essentially trigger the workflow with a message instead of webhook this time. We could actually do it with webhook too. Nothing stops us, right? So you could trigger with two things. You could trigger it with webhook as well. And essentially we added a lot of tools to the agent instead of us having to prompt the chain manually. Okay, so here we used chain summarization chain. A chain is essentially a module, an LLM LangChain module that uses a prompt. So instead of us having to extract the HTML in the page, we used the LLM to strip out the part that's not useful. And now we established that, okay, instead of you having to combine too many chains, because if you would accomplish something complicated, you would need many chains. Instead of doing that manually and then using one chain to decide, whether to switch to another chain, you can instead use an AI agent, which now uses tools. And we plugged tools to it. We added memory to it so that I can remember the history of the conversation. And then we added a model to it. We were initially using Olama, but it was too slow. And then we changed it to OpenAI. And yeah, that's essentially what we were able to go through today. So you can play with all the different workflows and all the different nodes that we have. Set your workflow, put your workflow. Oh, okay. Yeah, so try different workflows based on different nodes that we have, based on different triggers that we have on anything, and share your results on the Telegram channel. Brag about what you're able to do, and let's upload you. Thanks, everybody. If there's no question, no any other question, we can draw the question from here. Okay, Chiku, you have a question? You have your hands up. Let me. Hello, Ogechiku. Hi, Ogechiku. You can speak, please.
Stop not working. Hello.
Hi, Ogechiku.
Yeah, I want to say this is the best class. I enjoyed this class, and I think this project is a bit. I don't know if you were the one that made it simple, but this is the only class that I've enjoyed since the beginning of this class. And I also want to request that on WhatsApp that we are able to communicate with ourselves, or we are. I don't know if we can go to our DMs and reach out to people so we can work together. So we can also have a project. I mean, do it together and a way to also have a portfolio. So I don't know if this system or workflow can now become a portfolio link that we can share to probably potential employer. Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know if this is what we can send or we have to do something else to make it more beautiful. But if this is it, fine. But I also want to request that on the WhatsApp platform that we are able to collaborate together and work together so that each of us, we don't need as many people, behind, so that we're able to do something. It's not like there are 100 and then it's only 2 people that were able to do something. But if we have like about half of the class, working together, I think that would be fine. So like for me, I'm really much interested because I see that it's something that's practical and it has a workflow, and it's something that I saw the workflow is very easy to work with, and I really liked it. So I would have loved that we have collaborators together. Yeah, I mean on the WhatsApp platform, because sometimes I feel like the Telegram somehow. I don't know, like that because I can't work on Telegram, but sometimes
Okay.
I'm not. I don't really connect it to Telegram as such, but WhatsApp, Slack, and all that communication tool, they have for me to run to.
Okay,
So
Mario, is this something we can do so that people can people can collaborate on WhatsApp where they can chat on WhatsApp as well? Right now it's admin only. Can we open it up?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay, let's do that.
Discuss it and we'll have it open from the new week.
Okay, let's do that so that people can, request for collaboration. Essentially, anybody in the group can ask for, okay, hi, I'm looking for collaborators. I have an idea to build a workflow that does this, does that. Let us work together, and then they can essentially connect to each other and go do that. I would really look forward to seeing something that we are able to do in form of groups next week. I would really, really love to see, different things that we can accomplish from group. That's a fantastic idea. The WhatsApp will be open up if we can. So Mario would look into that and get back.
all right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ogechi. Yeah, awesome. Where are you connecting from, Ogechi?
From Lagos.
Oh, from Lagos. Okay, Lagos is always the center of everything. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you all. See you next week. Next week will be the official end of the class, but again, we are not going to be closing the curtain till 2025. We're not going to be doing that because this is a fast evolving field. It's a fast moving sector, and you just need to be upskilling all the time and make sure that you are the disruptor, and don't let AI disrupt you. Essentially, that's why we are here, so that we can give you all the resources and all the skills that you need to shine with AI, right? So we will be engaging. It will be, of course, less frequent. It doesn't have to be weekly, but once we have a new important thing to discuss, to kind of like share with the community, we will, create a meeting, of course, communicated ahead, and we can engage till the next cohort starts in 2025. Okay, I think someone else is raising their hand. Hi, Stephen.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Hi,
Can
Stephen.
I suggest, can I suggest we based on the people in the class today, maybe have a little grouping so they can come up with a one or two projects before the last class. I don't know if that makes sense. So who can get hands-on on this, like in the form of collaboration, like you said, but with the written up with the practical assignment, they can think of something, come up with a project in this regard, and probably discuss it. So maybe at least one or two things. We should just work on something for the weekend. I don't know if it makes sense.
So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's essentially what Ogechiku as well is suggesting, which I applaud, right? So let's connect on WhatsApp, and let everybody connect with each other that's looking to, practicalize these skills and build something useful, right? So you can connect to Ogechi, or Ogechi can connect to Emmanuel, Anjorin, and everybody, right? I wouldn't want to limit it to people in this class alone, because a lot of people, you know, try to catch up. Whether they are able to do that or not, I don't know. Well, let's let it be as broad as possible. But I would really love for us to dedicate the first 30 minutes of next week to showing what we've been able to do. Actually, we would declare prizes. The best project next week will win exciting monetary prize. Yes, yes, yes. So,
It's okay. Let's go.
sorry, Ogechi, I didn't hear you.
I said it's okay. It's okay. Oh, one day.
Ogechi, I heard the Yoruba at first, but I wasn't sure. I'll be Ogechi Kurada. Yeah, this is the Yoruba is so pure. I could not tell that it was you. Okay, yes, this monetary prizes to be won. We would give the best two projects next week. We would declare the reward next week, but don't worry, it will be something exciting. That will be worth the effort. It's not supposed to be the reason why you should do it, but it's essentially just to encourage guys to go out there and do great stuff, right? So regardless of the prizes, you should still put in the efforts, put in the work. Yeah, but let's
Yeah,
see.
you're
Yeah,
absolutely correct. It's not because of the money, but I'm
yeah,
just excited. Work is actually assimilative, so that's why I really want to do it.
yeah. That's good. That's good. All right. Thank you for being part of the co-ops too so far. It's a pleasure having you guys on board. And by the way, you guys should the first series was useful too. It was boring, but it's really useful. You would find out in most big organizations that they need that skill that was passed on in the first series. It's useful. Try as much as possible not to, it may be boring, but try as much as possible to kind of like have a good handle on that, because uh if employers are willing to pay for it, why should you, just learn it, perfect it. So learning how to do classification, regression, analytics, and all of those things is very useful. It's not going anywhere. Generative AI is powerful because of the one-shot capability that a model has. Excuse me. Because of the one-shot capability the large language model has, it's powerful, but the classical AI models are not going anywhere. The classification, the the regression, all those models are not going anywhere. They'll still be around for a very long time. So try to perfect the NIME or your understanding with NIME, because a lot of companies, especially those big traditional companies, MTN, Coca-Cola, all of them, that is what they live on. That is how they know how much to produce, how much products to churn out, what location to ship to. It is those kind of tools that they do all those kind of analysis. So it's very useful tool. It's boring. It may be boring, but it's useful. So learn it alongside, the generative AI aspects that you may find interesting as well. All right. So that's just my, simple word of admonition, everybody. Thank you for being part of the second to the last class. And it's a privilege to have you all on the call today. Let's have a very beautiful Saturday. Bye.
Bye.